Hey everyone, I'm your host Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and today we're going to talk about something very unique. This man is a real powerhouse, and the knowledge he's dropping today, I'm glad I found him. I'm so happy I found him. He is going to bring so much value to us. We are coming out of a pandemic. We got so many different niches in real estate. We got multifamily, house hacking, but this man I'm bringing to the stage is unique in his own right, and we're going to talk about it. How to rent your home for film shoots. Exciting. So you won't want to miss 1 second of what this powerhouse speaker has to say. Stay tuned, stay with us. Here we go. Hey everyone, I'm your host Marcus Norman of the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and today I got Mr. Josh Lawlor, the founder of the Film Shoot Rental Roadmap. And this man is teaching us, he teaches, coaches, and educates people on how to rent their home with tax-free dollars for film shoots, photo shoots, and commercial productions. Before he cracked the code to film shoot rental success, he shares his success and his family's experience. He experimented with various real estate ventures, living in live-in flips, single-family rentals, small multifamily rentals, and everything across the board. So we got a real estate investor on the scene. So he's not just talking just for the sake of talking. This is a man that's truly a professional and a powerhouse speaker, and he's here to help on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show today. And it's such a unique thing, right? Such a unique thing. So I can't hold this man back. I want to get to the sauce, the meat of what we're going to talk about today. So help me welcome to the stage the incredible Mr. Josh Lawlor. Welcome to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, sir. How are you?
All right, that's quite an intro. I think that's the maybe the best intro I've heard here. So thank you for that. Glad to be here.
Absolutely glad to have you back. Welcome, sir. It's you did the work. That intro was absolutely necessary. You did the hard work, and you are spilling the tea on this unique niche, and you are the man of the hour, so you deserved it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for making time. Sir, before we dive into the soup and the sauce, I want to talk about your experience with real estate investing overall, right?
Sure.
Your background. 'Cause I didn't do it any justice, right? Can you tell us a little bit what your experience has been with real estate beforehand and how you walked into this new niche?
Sure. Yeah, we'll take it back. I think I think like a lot of people, looking for a way to make passive income, looking for a way to kind of get out of the 9 to 5, find an alternative. And so like a lot of people, I think I was, started reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of podcasts, but, not necessarily taking a lot of action. Interestingly, what did it for me is, had a bit of a number of years back. And I can remember this. I was, sitting outside with my wife, having dinner outside, having a drink, and my doctor called me. Right, he calls my personal phone. Kind of weird. Your doctor called you at night, and he said, we've I'm just looking at some test results from the latest visit. Why don't you come in? So I said, okay, that's a little bit odd. So that kicked off about a 6 to 9 month series of tests and a bit of a health scare. In the end, luckily everything was okay, and it was just kind of some strange results, but everything bad was ruled out. But that was about 7-8 years ago, and that got me thinking about kind of life and the potential fleetingness of life. And I said, okay, you know what, it's time to pull the trigger. And so this is when I sort of first got into real estate, but even so, I needed some hand holding. So I started in real estate like the way I think a lot of people do, single family rentals. Now, I actually went through a turnkey operator. It was actually at the time it was a startup, a place called Roofstock. And what I liked about this startup is they did all the due diligence. They did all the market analysis, and so you could go online. And I live in the Northeast. My area, may not be the best place in the country for short-term rentals, just given the market. But I chose a market down in the Atlanta region and Jacksonville. So, at the time, two growing markets, and so purchased a few lower value single family homes for long-term rentals. Put property manager in place because I'm long distance, and that was really my first entry into real estate. And of course, a month after I bought the first home, property manager calls and said, "Oh, the tenant didn't pay rent this month," and of course I was sort of yeah, exactly, freaking out. And but gradually learned that, okay, this is kind of bumps in the road. This is what happens. You get past it. It's not the end of the world. You can work through it. And but at the same time, the monthly cash flow, of course, you can kind of pencil it out ahead of time, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to make a few $100 a month in rent, but then you have a repair, right? The big repair at the end of the year, and it kind of wipes out your cash flow for the year. So I think, the lesson with these initial single families is real estate. It's not a get rich quick, right? You're in it for the long term. And so, maybe in a given year, you have a big repair that offsets some of your cash flow. But, over time, I think we've seen the kind of what's happened in the real estate market. The appreciation of these homes has really been tremendous. And so that actually, wasn't something I was focused on when I first started. I was focused on the cash flow element, but it was really the appreciation over the number of years allowed us to refinance several times. And when rates are higher now as we're recording, but as rates were declining, we were able to refinance at lower rates, take cash out, and use that to invest in additional properties. The next sort of group tranche of investments that I did was in upstate New York, small multifamily. So we're talking like 2 to 4 unit apartments. So I figured, okay, after single family, let me move up and kind of experiment with that. So we continue to hold all of these units today. But the real estate, the monthly cash flow, while the appreciation has been impressive, the monthly cash flow is not you quickly realize that you need a lot of units to really build up the cash flow. So and anyway, that was kind of the entry into my real estate investing. And then it wasn't until a few years ago that I got into just kind of stumbled into film shoot rentals. So this is kind of where it gets interesting. And so we had moved, and we hadn't really unpacked everything. So not a lot of the house was sort of fairly empty. And one of our friends mentioned that kind of we might want to consider it, might want to try it. Didn't know anything about film shoots or film shoot rentals, but I was game. And so started a few years ago, and that's kind of where we are now. I don't know if you have any questions. I know I kind of went through that real estate history very quickly, but
no, that was good. Did you believe it when your friend like a producer? Like, why would that come up in a conversation? I need some new friends, because that does not come up in any of my conversations at all. So I need some new friends. But what in the world kind of friend would bring that up casually? Like, hey, you could rent your home out for a movie?
I think they had some connections in the industry. But I want to touch on something you said there in terms of a movie. So I think it's worth touching on, and you're like everyone, and like us when we first started. When you hear film shoot, right, we think feature film, right? We think big production,
Steven Spielberg,
huge crew, exactly. A-list celebrities. We have had some brush with celebrity, but we'll come to that later. But for the most part, when we're talking about film shoots, we're really talking about one day productions, one day commercial productions. And who are so rather than feature films, if you think about it, every small business, every startup, every established company, they have a presence online. They've got social media accounts. They're constantly refreshing their content. And so they look for and need professionally produced content, whether video or photo images. So, again, when we think about film shoots, this is really the heart of what we're talking about. Typically in the approach that I teach, we're talking about one day shoots, and it runs the range from companies that you've probably heard of, right? Like we've had Amazon and Zillow and Lululemon come, but it's also companies that you've never heard of, right? We've had a cereal, like a healthy cereal startup. We've had some new organic bath product companies do shoots in our house. We've had clothing companies that make clothing and baby products come, and they've got a new product line, and so they want to shoot their new product line for the new season. So that's the kind of stuff that we get.
That makes sense. Do you preserve, so you kept all the properties when you began your real estate investment, you and your family started your real estate investment journey. Do you designate specific properties, or do you just do this with your primary home and your primary home only? Or is there specific properties, like this property will be for a shoot, this property will be for a long-term rental to capitalize on the appreciation and the benefits there?
Yeah. It's a good question. So for film shoots, we use our primary residence. So one, because our investment properties are long distance, so they're not near us. So one of the things that I recommend to people is that you stay in your home during the shoot. Either you or you have a representative stay in your house during a shoot. So we use our primary residence. But one of the things that is interesting, you bring up other properties. I think renting for film shoots can be quite appealing if you are a short-term rental investor. So if you have an Airbnb, I know over the past year or so, I mean during the height of the pandemic, short-term rentals were super popular. But since then they've kind of run into some problems unless you've got a real nice sort of luxury short-term rental. The industry is changing a little bit. So your vacancy rate might be higher. There's a lot of changing regulations, right? Towns are cracking down on Airbnb. But you can also rent your short-term rental for film shoots. And it's actually quite a nice complement, right? Because if you think about it, your vacation rentals are usually during the weekend. That's when people long weekends, and film shoots are usually during the week. So it's kind of a nice offset. So you can increase the value of your existing short-term rentals, as well as, in addition to your primary residence too.
Absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. Told y'all, bring in the sauce on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We have one quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a reliable, professional trucking and logistics service, you've come to the right place. Musa Trucking is a veteran-owned and operated premier transportation provider that can help with all of your trucking and logistics needs. Musa is revolutionizing the trucking industry through strategic partnerships, the development of core personnel, and the use of cutting-edge technology. Our inventory system ensures that cargo ends up divided into the right trucks and reaching the correct destination. Our drivers are dedicated to transporting goods efficiently and safely. Contact us today to get started by visiting the website on the screen or by calling 757-756-5246.
We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we have the incredible Mr. Josh Lawlor, and he's here spilling the tea on how you can rent out your home, your primary residence, for a profit, a tax-free profit. And we are going to get into that a little bit right here. And bringing back to the stage, Mr. Josh. Sir, you are spilling some fantastic fee. You just broke down earlier that you got into the real estate game, your journey with that, and how a friend, a really good friend, I need friends like this, mentioned just off of a conversation that you should rent out your property for shoots, but not just film shoots, not the big productions, but the commercials, the social media, the short stills, the big and you've had the big names, right? You've had the Amazons, but you've also had some unknown names. Have you ever said no to a shoot, right?
Yeah.
Because it can be appealing to say, Amazon calls you up, or the Gerber, they want to shoot a baby commercial, right? They want to even shoot your kid or in the film. Like, have you ever said no to a particular film shoot?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so, and when I say we, my wife and I, we've learned a lot along the way, right? We've made a lot of mistakes, and probably said yes to some shoots early on in our film shoot rental journey that we shouldn't have. Yeah, so there are a few things to say about that. And I can get into some of the specific shoots we've said no to, but the beauty of film shoot rentals is you define what sort of shoots you want to do, and there's a way you can screen out shoots that you don't want up front by setting the right parameters in the listing platforms that you're using. So there are any number of different listing platforms out there that you can use that are similar to like an Airbnb, but for film shoot rentals. And the good ones have certain attributes that you want to take advantage of. So you want to take advantage of, first of all, you want to be able to set your pricing. So if you set your pricing appropriately, you'll screen out bad tenants. So just like for, any listeners out there who have experience with real estate, if you have certain, maybe a lower rent, sometimes you might get tenants that aren't the greatest tenants. So similar with film shoots, you want to make sure you want to price your property appropriately. And it's something I spent a bit of time talking about pricing in my course. You also want to find a listing platform that allows you to set a minimum number of hours. So when we first started, we didn't have any of this set up, and so we were getting, almost as soon as we put a first listing up, we were inundated with inquiries of people saying, "Oh, yeah, I just need it for 1 hour or 2 hours." So at this point, we say no to those short 1-2 hour shoots. We personally actually have a 6-hour minimum. Now, most of the shoots and the approach that I teach typically yields 10 to 12 hour shoot days. Okay, so and you want a platform where you can set a minimum, and that will just rule out a lot of what I'll call less professional guests. Okay. Like I said, most shoots take at least an hour to set up, at least an hour to load out and clean up and break down. Exactly. And so, you want to set that minimum, and you'll end up getting more professional shoots. So to come back to your question about, have I ever said no to a shoot? So
what's the weirdest one that you had to, like, this is a hard no?
Yeah, so I don't know about weird, but I would just say disruptive, right? So we had potentially disruptive. We didn't do this one. So like I said, most of the shoots the approach that we teach ends up 1-day shoots, sometimes maybe a 2-day shoot. But we got a call, from this location scout once, and there was a shoot for a furniture company. And these guys, it was a big shoot, and it was like, 7 days. So we actually... And we actually turned it down because it would have been about like 60 people, which is a big shoot. And we can talk about kind of some tiered pricing and how you can control for the number of people. So this was like a 60-person shoot, and they wanted to move all of our furniture, or the majority of our furniture out of the house temporarily, replace it for the day or for the 7 days with the furniture that they were shooting. It was just really disruptive. That's a very extreme case, right? Because most shoots come in and they've got some props, but they might move some things around a little bit, but very little disruption. But this shoot, it was hard to turn down because it was, I think their budget was like $33,000 for like 7 days or something like that. But our rate, that was actually a lower daily rate. So, sometimes you need to turn down shoot, you need to turn down money if it's not in line with your strategy. And I think maybe at this point it's also worth touching on some of the tax strategies. So another reason we turned this 7-day shoot down was because it would have put us over the 14 days for the year. And so maybe we back up, and if some of your listeners who are into real estate may be familiar with the Augusta rule. So I'll just maybe take a couple minutes to talk about it. So the Augusta rule is, and again, I'm not a tax advisor, consult your tax professional, but
I was just about to save you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the Augusta rule in Augusta, Georgia, the Masters tournament, the golf tournament, homeowners during this period like to rent their home out because they could rent their home out to people coming to watch the Masters, and they lobbied, they lobbied Congress to create this this rule to allow them to rent their homes for a short period of time, for up to 14 days, and not pay any tax on the income. It was passed, and now you don't have to be a homeowner in Augusta, Georgia during the Masters. You can be a homeowner anywhere of any property, and if you don't rent if your rentals don't exceed 14 days per year.
Consecutive.
It doesn't have to be consecutive. It can be just 14 days sprinkled throughout the year. That's the count. All of that income, if you do it right, can be tax-free. So I like the idea of tax-free income. So personally, we like to limit our film shoot rental days to 14. And this comes back to why we really like to optimize it. So we don't do 1 hour shoots, 2 hour shoots, because that 1 hour, 2 hours, that counts as a day. So we like to get shoots that are 10, 12 hour full shoot days to kind of maximize your income. And just to give you some numbers, I mean, we haven't really talked numbers here, but so I rent my home, and again, we have sort of a tiered pricing, but our base rate is $600 an hour. Okay. And
that's why you have the 2 hour minimum.
Well, we have a 6 hour minimum, but
minimum.
Yeah, exactly. So most of our shoots, though, a typical shoot is more like 10 or 12 hours a day, right? And so if you do the math here, right? So 600 times 12 hours, 7,200, okay? And if you cap that out at 14 days, that's $100 grand right there, and that's all tax free with 14 days. So if you think kind of figure out what that is,
that's why the $33,000 shoot was under budget for you.
Yeah, exactly, because it was 7 days, and it was just kind of from a daily rate standpoint. It just wasn't worth it for us. We'd rather do 1 day shoots where we can earn.
You can maximize.
Exactly.
Is there any negotiating on these platforms when they make, because it's an offer, right? It's an offer on your property, on your home. Yep. Is there any wiggle room in there?
Yeah, no, great question. I find that it's about, so again, the platforms that I recommend, and I would recommend to anyone, you want to use platforms that enable pricing transparency. You set a rate, and the best ones even allowed tiered pricing. So you can set a base rate for a certain size shoot. So say, and size measured by number of people. So maybe a small shoot might be 1 to 10 people, and you can set your base rate. And then you can set the next tier up. And what I recommend is you tack on whatever, if your base rate's $300 an hour for 1 to 10 people, you want to set a base rate of maybe $400 for 11 to 20 people, and $500 from 21 to 30 people. So you can see. Back to your question on negotiation. Yeah, I do get, even though we're transparent in the pricing, some people do negotiate, and this is kind of a personal question, and I think it depends for me on how disruptive the shoot is. And when I talk about disruptive, again, people might have an image of a shoot taking over your entire house, and that can happen. But the majority of the time, shoots are focused on a particular area. So, we have a lot of shoots that like to, shoot in our kitchen and dining area. I mentioned an organic bath startup that did a shoot they were just very focused in our master bathroom. Okay. So, it depends. If I get a shoot that's very localized in one particular area, and the director, the producer that I'm talking to tries to negotiate, I'll be more likely to negotiate if the shoot is less disruptive. But if the shoot is a really big shoot where they're going to be all over the place,
Right.
I'm less likely to negotiate. So
But
kind of a
that's
case
but
by
that's
case.
but that's still 6 hours of your master bathroom being utilized. That's time that you and your wife can't use it, right? So that's still to a degree very disruptive
Yeah.
in retrospect, right?
Yeah, I think it's helpful to have two bathrooms, right? If you're doing, but I would say, look, in all seriousness, if you've got a
Go over to your friend, the same friend that recommended, hey buddy, I need to you
and
you you started this.
and you can put off there are, I haven't touched on it, but you can define off limit spaces. So for example, in our house, I've got a couple kids, and my older daughter, her room is just off limits.
Yeah.
So she was a teenager, she put her foot down, she said nope, I'm not doing this. And so we just don't that's okay, we don't have to list the whole house. The younger one's fine with it, but the older one just said no. We said fine. And the room where I have my home office, so where I am right now, so this is off limits. We don't post pictures of our off limits rooms. So it's important to have you want to sort of define a space where you're gonna be during your shoot. So there's a lot of flexibility here in terms of how you do this.
This is dynamite, y'all. This is huge. I want to backtrack. 'Cause I want to jump into this because you touched on it earlier. Because you said that most people think about films, right? When they think about film shoots, they think about blockbuster films, but it's also the finite companies that want to do it, the revamping of their social media and their marketing. But you touched on this earlier. Every home, it doesn't have to be a specific home. They're not looking for the whamadine home. And I want to double back on that because people may think, well, my house is not suitable. What house is suitable? What kind of conditions are these producers, these directors looking for? And how big or small is that gap?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and thanks for bringing this up. This is one of the most common myths, right, around film shoots, and there are a number of them. And so, if we have time, it's probably worth kind of walking through them. But yeah, so the biggest myth is, is my home's not right for film shoots, right? And my answer to that is there is no right home for film shoots, right? Many people think, oh, I've got to live in a mansion, and not to mention just geographically as well. We can touch on that. They think, oh, I've got to live near Hollywood, right? Near the film industry. No, there is no right home for shoots because every production has different requirements. And I have a couple examples of this actually that I think illustrate the point quite nicely. So, we had one time there was a platform, an online platform that connects parents with caretakers, so babysitters, nannies, etc. And they were doing a shoot to refresh their website, and they called us up. They scheduled a scouting visit, right? That's when producer, director, and a couple other members from the crew will come for about half an hour, take a look at your house, maybe look at the lighting, plan some scenes. So they came, they walked around. I said, okay, we're looking at a couple other places. We'll give you a call in a few days. And a few days later, the producer called me up and said, Josh, we loved your house, very beautiful. But, for us, because we're doing our website, we really want a home that kind of looks like, you got little kids in it and that means, a lot of clutter, stuff everywhere, like more wear and tear. And we had renovated our house, so it just wasn't the right fit. So, nice house.
They would love my house.
So they yeah, they wanted something, a little older with a little more wear and tear. So that was one example. And, one other example, which is kind of crazy actually. So a couple years back after we started doing shoots, unfortunately we had this plumbing disaster. Okay. So we had a water filter under our kitchen sink that somehow exploded overnight. We didn't know it until the morning. So we came down, water had been just running all night long. It just the entire first floor. We had to demo. We thought we could sort of save some of it, but in the end we had to just demo the entire first floor. All of the flooring had to come out in the kitchen, all of the cabinets, countertops, everything.
My gosh.
So, and of course, during this time, we're still getting inquiries for film shoots. And I'm frustratingly writing back saying, hey, listen, sorry, we had this, plumbing disaster. we should be back in business in 3 or 4 months. Give us a call then, right? And I'm just kind of counting up all of the income that we're missing out on. And but one of the shoots was actually for a utility. It was a startup that makes this utility monitoring product. So, when I think, so think like, the kind of stuff that like monitors your gas, your electric, and your water pipes. So they have this contraption that can attach in your basement, to your electrical, to where your water comes in. And when I told them, they said, "Oh no, that's fine. We actually," and they said, "Would you mind if we shoot in the area of your house that got destroyed, so we can show our potential customers what happens if you don't use our product?" And so we actually did a shoot like while our house was under construction, being repaired, and it was kind of localized in the basement. And so there are all kinds of, like I said, every shoot has a different requirement. And even there were a couple of other inquiries. And again, we don't say yes to all of our shoots, and sometimes they don't work out for whatever reason. But, I'll give you another example. We once had an inquiry from a roofing company. They make shingles that wanted to just shoot our roof. So totally outside, nothing inside. Another time we had a well-known vodka company that wanted to shoot a tailgating party in our driveway. Okay. So again, just kind of an outside. So with film shoots, you never really know which areas of the house. That's another common myth, I think like it's always like the inside, but you never really know what area of the home. It doesn't have to be a single family house. It can be, it can be an apartment. We talked about how it can really be anywhere, because what I've found is that, remember, the ultimate client who needs content created, there are small businesses and big businesses all across the country and internationally. So, and oftentimes the location of the shoot is dictated on either where the client is based or where the crew is based. So we've had instances of kind of both cases. In some cases, we've had the client or the owner of the small business that was creating content maybe lived within 45 minutes of us, and they were working with a crew that flew in from another city. Other times it's been the reverse. We've had we did one shoot with a talent, like an executive sort of search agency that places technology talent, and they were based in Seattle, but the crew that they were working with was based in Brooklyn, which is about an hour and a half from where I'm based. And so the crew was local, but the client flew to come to watch the shoot. So geographically, you can really be anywhere. We talked about how, you don't have to be in a house. You can be in an apartment. I think the other questions I get a lot are, well, I've got kids. How do I do this? And again, I've got 2 kids. Shoots are usually during the week. So most of it takes place while kids are at school. Okay. Right. Again, you can set off limits areas, and it's definitely doable with kids. So
no off limit areas, kids. I'm trying to put you through college. This is your college fun. What are y'all doing? There's no off limits, no locked doors in this house. What's wrong with y'all? But no, great points. This is huge, and this is incredible. We have to go to one more quick commercial break. You guys don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, Then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye.
We are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage, and we have the incredible Mr. Josh Lawlor spilling the tea. You can get this podcast. You can find him. This is an exclusive, y'all. You can get this on all social media platforms. We are on iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook business page, Spotify, LinkedIn, anywhere you get your podcast. We are there. We're even in Ghana, y'all. So if you want this exclusive content, you can catch us and find us anywhere. Click the link or subscribe and check him out. He's absolutely spilling the tea. Sir, you are dropping nuggets this show. Oh my gosh, this is muy incredible. I want to talk about the money. I want to get to the money because I don't think I've done you justice. What's the startup cost? I always ask the question, what's the startup cost? As an investor, how much should I be expecting to put up front for these properties? Because you mentioned earlier there was a furniture company that wanted to be very aggressive. Who's responsible for stuff like that? Do you have to move your furniture out, or do they come in and put their furniture in and move your stuff like and all of that? What's the startup cost in all of this?
Yeah, no, great question, and something I don't think I mentioned earlier. And compared to just about every other type of real estate that I've gotten involved in, the beauty of film shoot rentals is you already are in your asset, right? You're already living in your house. You don't need to save for a down payment. And look, I know when I got into real estate, it takes time. You gotta save up for a down payment. And then, you're getting financing. So financing with a lender takes months to get through the underwriting. Film shoot rentals, you're already living in your house, right? You're living in your asset. So you don't need to save up for a down payment. And you don't need to, deal with financing. You can get started right away. So I think that's a huge benefit that, for those of us who are impatient, or we make that decision, okay, I'm going to invest in a property this year, but then it takes forever to find one and save up for the down payment and get the financing. So startup costs, really, what I recommend you get professional photos done. Okay. So that's my recommendation. So a couple $100, maybe, for professional photos. You get a good photographer. If you're a good photographer, could you do it yourself? Sure, you could. I recommend going with a professional. The bar is low. I think they can really just make your place look amazing. So that's the startup cost, right? A couple $100 for professional photos.
Or a good iPhone.
Exactly.
You could take really good photos with a good iPhone if you know what you're doing.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Sir, you mentioned this earlier, and I can't let this slip out without you answering. You have listed your home and offered your home, and received offers from pro athletes and celebrities. What was up with that?
Yes.
It's like, who hey, Black China, if you're looking for, no, I'm just kidding. But is that a part of the deal? Like, you got offers from pro athletes. What about like adult stars and adult film stars? Is that on the do not excluded list?
Yeah. So okay. So you have a couple questions there that we'll tackle one at a time. So the in the listing platforms, you can sort of very clearly state the type of shoots that you're not interested in, right? And we certainly do that. Never had one of those types of inquiries, but in terms of the celebrity spokespeople, so typically you're not going to get a celebrity saying, "Oh, I want to film in the home," but oftentimes companies work with celebrities. So for me, I'll give you one example. Like the biggest thrill was, so we're near New York, right? Near New York City, and so we once did a shoot with an esports company, and they had spokesperson agreements with these professional athletes in like cities all over the US. So they were doing this series where they were filming with their different professional athletes in their local areas. And so we did a shoot with an esports company, and when they were doing it in New York, we got a, I don't know if I can say the name, but, a very famous point guard for the New York Knicks who was just kind of came and was sort of hanging out in the kitchen, and because he was the local, and so that was kind of surreal, that was kind of cool, and we tried to play it cool, it's just like, oh yeah, but we were excited. So look, I would say, that's not the majority.
You were geeked. I would be geeked.
Yeah. So, but usually, look, most of these shoots, if it's a shoot for like a new line of, we did one recently for like new line of bottled water with collagen in it, something like that. Like they don't usually have the celebrity spokesperson, but it does happen, and we've definitely had, additional inquiries with some recognizable names. So it's a nice kind of fun little side benefit of this, right? Even though I said we're not doing feature films, but a lot of these companies that are doing shoots do work with celebrity spokespeople. So yeah.
Do you get to be? Is there an opportunity, or is there ever an offer where they're like, "Hey, we could use your family in the shoot"? Is there anything like that where they want you in there?
That's a good question. I usually, so short answer, no. They do use our plants a lot. So oftentimes our plants have made cameos. So I'm always surprised. Some shoots will bring all kinds of props and bring everything, but a lot of times, shoot, they'll ask, "Oh, hey, do you have some, I don't know, candles, or can we use this plant?" And so they'll sort of look around and use what you have. So, I'm not usually during a shoot. I usually, obviously, in the morning, I'm greeting people, making sure it's the right number of people, making sure everything is kind of running smoothly. But once the shoot starts, I can retreat up to my kind of where I have my home office and do my own work, and kind of I stay out of the way for the most part. And again, if you screen properly, get the right professional shoot, it just runs very smoothly. So
love it. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. Sir, you have added so much tremendous value to the show and so much knowledge. I'm excited about this new niche in real estate. I'm excited about what you're doing and what you're teaching. Because you teach this. You guys teach this and mentor to this. How can people get the course? How can people connect with you and find you so they can make this, I think you said, what, $106,000 for a day shoot? The right shoot, y'all. How can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find us at filmshootrentals.com, and that's where you can find out information about the course. And, look, I think the course is the culmination of years of trial and error and mistakes that we've made, and kind of packaged everything up so that you can accelerate your own film shoot rental journey. So look, I view this is not a, either or. This is a complement to any other endeavors that you have. This will accelerate it, right? This is, doesn't require any down payment. You can start very quickly. And, what we try to do in the course is really a transformational, going from, I don't know where to start, to, okay, I'm going to go through this course. I'm going to know exactly how to get started, how to put my listing up, how to market, how to price, what are the communication strategies I need, how do I avoid the pitfalls? Really, how do I go from not knowing anything, not making any money from my home, where I'm actually, I'm paying my home, causing me to pay money, to, earning money from my home. So.
Absolutely. You can make money from you guys' home, y'all. Right? And you can turn a liability into an asset. And you don't have to vacate. You don't have to leave. You don't have to give up space or kick your kids out or any of that. You can make your home make you money. And we're coming out of a pandemic. We're coming out of a recession. Some would say we're even still in a recession. Here's an opportunity for you guys to connect. Any final nuggets? You've dropped so many nuggets today. Anything that I should have asked you that you wanted to share that I didn't ask? Any final nuggets?
Yeah, I think just to reiterate that, if you're looking to get into real estate, and like me, when you get started, you were nervous about making a mistake, you didn't want to lose money. This is a very low risk entry point into real estate. Even if your ultimate goal is to do short-term rentals, you want to buy apartment buildings, this is a way to accelerate that. You can, increase your income for whatever goals you have. So yeah, I encourage everyone to check it out. I think everyone should be doing this.
Absolutely. Get on board, y'all. We gotta let Mr. Josh go. This man has a company to run. He probably got a shoot booked right now. But we definitely, Mr. Josh, is it okay with you? We're gonna be checking back.
Yep.
After I've made my millions. And I hope this helps, y'all. I hope this message, sir, thank you for being here. You are awesome. Don't ever quit. We need what you're doing. Continue to share, continue to go out there. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you all for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was informational. I hope this takes you, your family, your household, your business to the next level. This is Marcus Norman, your favorite gentleman, and Mr. Josh signing off. Killing the game. Love you guys. Bye.